So hello again everyone, Kenneth Martin here from the Hard Hat Talks podcast. I'm joined today with Emma Ross from Ross Commercial Finance. Hello Emma.
Hi.
Hi there. Emma, we've known each other for a few years. I've probably been able to pass you a few referrals. I'm not sure if anything turned into anything, but I'm intrigued by your presence on LinkedIn and various other social media outlets. We'll come on maybe later on to talk about some of your big ventures in terms of branding and commercial awareness. But in the first instance, can you just tell us a wee bit about yourself and how you get involved in the commercial finance industry?
Yeah, so I started off at HSBC Bank, just a telephone rep on the phone, and then I think my salary at the time was something like 12,000, so it was like entry level, and I just worked my way up, and then I found out quite an early stage I was very good at sales. And I was in like the outbound team, like smashed every target, every award and stuff that was to be won. And then I ended up going into residential mortgages, so I got all my qualifications there, and then I moved over to commercial. And that gave me my like kind of background to be able to, when I decided to leave HSBC, to give me that kind of comfort to know that I thought I knew what I was doing until I left, and I realised I didn't actually know what I was doing, but at the time I did think I knew what I was doing. But yeah, I would say when you're at the bank, you think that it's like a wee bubble to put around you. It's like a safety bubble, and you think there's not a bigger world out there and stuff. But when I left, I was like, oh my goodness, why didn't I do this before now? And it's just been massively progressive from there. So I was very lucky. The company I went to, they really taught me so much stuff that I never knew before, and gave me all the tools to be able to go out myself. So I then left there. I worked there for, I honestly can't remember how long it was. I think I get this wrong every time I math, but 3.5 years or something it was. I worked there, and I learned so much. And then started out in Ross Commercial Finance in October 23. So we're nearly going to be 2 years already, which seems crazy, like just mental. But people keep saying the first 2 years are the hardest. It's going to get easier. But I was actually saying to my husband last night, I was like, I don't see this getting easier. No. I was like, when people told me 2 years then it gets easier, but I'm not feeling that yet.
No, I don't know if it ever gets easier, to be honest with you. We're 21 years old in a couple of months' time, and I don't think it does get easier. You know, I think your challenges get bigger, and I think you set yourself bigger challenges.
Well, that's what I was saying last night. I was at the party, I was like, I could have done 2 ways here. I could have probably sat and been like a comfortable broker and done maybe 3 deals a month, and actually I would have lived a really good, happy life, and probably not been stressed. But instead I went all out, really big, really fast. And so this month alone, me myself have done 22 deals, which is really quite mental. Like my target, my previous job was 12 for the month, but me doing 22 by myself is really quite insane. But it's obviously good, and I'm buzzing by it, and I still don't stop. I see other people doing stuff, and I'm like, I want to be doing that, or I can be better at that, or why am I not doing that? But Marty's like, Emma, just calm it. You don't need to be it's a long road ahead. But I'm very much one of these people no, I want to do it.
Well, I know a lot of business people are driven, and I think people who set up businesses are driven by, to some extent, their own self-worth. And yeah, there is that team element, but what can you get out of it yourself? So if you've got a target of 12 working for someone, and you know what you can make delivering 12, then why wouldn't you do 20 for yourself, knowing that a lot of that is for your own
actually don't
benefit?
think I work any harder than I did for the previous company. I was one of these employees that you probably love to have. I worked so much out with my hours. Not that my boss at the time made me do it. I was just wanted to be the best. So I don't actually think I work any harder now. I'm just a lot better at it, so I'm faster. So instead of me being able to, day 12, I had to do a lot more research to get them. But now, because I know the industry inside out, I can just do things faster. I've also got a really good team behind me, so I'm the only one that's income generating technically as such now. But we do have we've got Marty does a BDM, Kelly's just come on as a trainee, Danny is my right hand woman. She does all the kind of back end style stuff, and then we've just took on a marketing girl as well. So we've got a good team around us. I just need more of me within the business. So that's my next goal, to get Kelly's been trained up and she's doing really, really well because her background was nothing to do with commercial finance.
Right.
So she was just my best friend that I love and wanted to transfer my business.
Right.
But I really need another me. So there is one girl that I've offered a job to, but I think she's kind of staying where she is today. But
Right.
my honour.
It's interesting because I think when you set your business up, I mean, I remember times thinking, why can I not have another me in the business? You know, because I'm quick at doing drawings and quick at doing stuff, etc. But I'm now in a position, the business coming up 21 years, whereby my goal is for the guys to actually sack me because their skill sets, what they can do with computer programs and software and all that stuff, is just far outpasses what I know, or in fact what I want to learn. You know, so I think you might, I mean, you're quite young, so you know, but you might come to a point in your business career you go, actually, you know, I couldn't work with another me. I don't think I could work with another me.
I think what I would like as a kind of long-term goal plan would be more to have. I always want to be like, always might not be the case in 5 years, but as in my head now, I would like to still be in the business. I would like more people of me that doing the deals, but me being out doing like the networking events, doing podcasts, all that sort of stuff. The stuff that I enjoy doing. I still enjoy doing the deals, don't get me wrong, but that will get a shelf life on it. So like I need more people like me that can be doing the deals while I can be out getting the free booze.
Getting the free booze.
At the events.
The events, the wines, the dines, the dinners, that's it.
Go to the VIP boxes at Hampden.
Right. We kind of got a feeling then for what the next few years might bring for Ross Commercial
Bad
Finance.
lovers.
Bad lovers. The Hard Hat Talks podcast, then, it really is all about trying to find out what the burning issues are in the industry. Obviously, it's kind of got a construction stroke development slant on it, you know, because we're really big on trying to expose what the challenges are out there for Scottish and UK developers. And then trying to find out all the different areas and sectors that they work in and see what we can do. So obviously with commercial finance, probably unless the individuals are a really wealthy individual who can self-fund, most developers will be looking for some form of commercial finance. So really the question to yourself then is what's going on in the industry? What's the, I mean, we can talk about the good things, but what are the biggest challenges you think you're facing just now as someone who organises this finance for your clients?
So yeah, one of the probably biggest issues you've got is in Scotland in general, there's not enough lenders. So I think we're now at 260 odd lenders on our panel, and probably for doing bridging and development in Scotland, I don't know these figures, so I'm totally guessing them, but I would say maybe about 20.
Right.
So it's a real small comparison of what's available out there. And every time I speak to lenders on the phone, I'm like, why don't you, like, because I've got, you know, a wee bit like, I used to like still pander to the lenders. I said, I'm like, no, you don't lend in Scotland, so I'm not giving you my English deals.
Right, okay, right.
So like, but I think that, I'm like, why don't you lend in Scotland? It's like the legal process. But actually, if you speak to people that do lend in Scotland, the legal process in Scotland's easier than England. So it's a bit of a cop out to me if you ask me.
All right.
But yeah, we've got less lenders up here. That's one issue. The next issue would be probably experience. So a lot of lenders look for experience in individuals. Now, don't get me wrong, there will be a lender out there I could go who's never done a development before and still get finance. But if you're wanting the full range of lenders that are available, a lot of them want experience. Whereas there's a lot of people that have been on courses and they've been told, you don't need experience, you don't need any money in, you don't need this. You could be unemployed and you'll get 100% funding on
no personal guarantees, nothing.
And I'm like, no, you've been missold, sorry.
Right.
So that's quite difficult. But don't get me wrong, there is that we can get 100% funding for people on certain occasions. Somebody could be unemployed, we could get funded. So there is scenarios, but sometimes people are like told to probably get too much with too little in. I think most lenders like some sort of stake in the game, so they want to know that if they're taking a risk, that you're taking a risk. So whether that is equity in a property or cash or land, anything that's available. And I get it from a lender's perspective, why would they take all the risk if the client's not willing to give any? So that's, I think, there is lenders out there, once again, though, that will do that. So it's not saying it's not available, but if you're wanting access to the best rates, the best lenders, then yeah, you're wanting to, when people come to us, part of the issue we'll probably find is they'll come and say, I'll say, right, what's the value of the land? Don't know. What's the build cost? Oh, rough idea, 100 grand. What's it going to be worth when it's done? Well, I don't know, let's say 250. These are all so plucked out somebody's head, and then I have to try and do a proposal on that. I then take that proposal to the lenders, and then it goes to the next steps, and it's like, oh, actually the build costs are going to be 250 grand, and actually it's only going to be worth 300, so there's no profit in it. So I think maybe we'll like, it's good to obviously suss stuff out, but I think when people are really like wanting to go ahead, so it's good if they actually do their due diligence first on the asset, on speak to a builder, speak to an architect, like speak to a local estate agent, find out what the comparables are for that area once it's done, like, and actually do your research on it. If you've not done any developments before, whether it's a refurb or a ground up, that's still fine. There will be lenders that will support, but the more you can evidence that you've done will open more lenders. So one thing that would be really good for your listeners to do is make sure that whether it's a refurb, light or heavy, whether it's a development, really, really document it well. So so a lot of our lenders will ask for development CVs, and we've got clients that go, I've actually think of one off the top of my head, he's obviously a really good developer, right? But he says to me, I don't need to give you that. I'm so-and-so. And I'm like, no, but the lender doesn't know you. You might think you're big ticket, but they don't know you. And I'm like, right, see if you can even show me your website that shows me, oh, I don't bother with technology. And I'm like, well, how am I the best way that I describe it's a bit like Dragon's Den. So if you've got, think of the lenders as my dragons, I've got to present this deal to them, and I've got to get them to commit to giving you money. So if I've got, this is what they've done before, this is what this is going to look like, look at their style of finish, look how fast it is, so look at the profit they made, like, and I'm really trying to sell this to them. If I've not got anything to do on that, it's a bit of a punt. So you're not going to get, as if you think of the dragons, you're not going to get them fighting over it for you. You're not going to be able to negotiate the rates and stuff. You might get the kind of wee rubbish dragon at the side. You might go, oh, maybe I'll do, but you want to have all the options on the table. So the more I've got up front to give that better presentation to the lenders, then the more opportunities the client will get to get the best deal that's out there. And the best deal, as I was actually talking to you earlier on, isn't necessarily always the best rate. And this is one thing that a lot of clients are so rate obsessed, but it's so much bigger than that. So for development finance, do they have an exit at the end? What is it like? What are they going to be like when it gets to the end of the term if you've not finished? Are they going to be flexible? Are they going to charge a 5% default fee? Or you might have some developers that will say, no, you've been working with us a full time, we're going to give you flexibility. Also, how fast is it going to be time to money withdraw down? What's their QS like? Are they going to charge you £1,000 per time they come out? All these sort of things are really, really important, rather than just, oh, that rate is 0.02% less. Like, I'm going to go with them. But that's where having a good broker really comes into play, because we know the lenders, we know where their strengths and weaknesses are. Like I tell you this morning about a client where I had one lender that we've done a £300,000 unsecured loan for them. It's taken 8 weeks from time to draw down. It's been horrendous. Like, the client's had to go into branches to sign. It's paperwork back and forward. It's honestly been, for an unsecured loan, horrendous. Whereas we could have went to a much lower tier lender. Probably the client would have had the funds in about 10 days. They would have signed one document and it would have been done. So I put them with a lender that I thought would have been the best option for the client, but actually in hindsight, and after talking to the client, I actually think it would have been best going with the other lender. And that's just part of the process. The client was happy still on the basis of he's got longer term flexibility, he can make unlimited overpayments, he can, it's a good bank he's going with, he's got a better rate, but actually weighing that up, time v money, if it was me personally, I would have went with the other one. So these are the sort of like knowing what's available and what the client can get, what the client wants, and what their priorities are is really, really important.
I think that's interesting. I mean, we've worked over the years with some novice developers, and you're right, a lot of them don't have any clue on figures, and it's almost that talking to the man in the pub. Oh, Tam Smith built one round the corner for, £900 a square metres. Aye, but that was 10 years ago.
I was going to say 10 years ago.
That was 10 years ago. So we do see all that stuff, and we do see the occasional whippersnapper coming in off a free or a 1 day, 3 day training course, maybe paid $1,000 for it or something like that. And it can be a challenge. I know I used to do a bit of kind of mentoring for some clients and some of these people who just come off the courses, and we would actually sit down and teach them how to work out, a full cost appraisal on a development. But even at that stage, some of it is still a wee bit, guessing and
I actually think, and I'm not just saying this because I'm on an architect's podcast, but I think getting an architect involved as early as possible is really, really beneficial for the client, because the builder's not going to give any quotes without architect's drawings.
Yeah.
The estate agent's not going to give you what your gross development value is going to be without knowing what the build's going to be like. So I would say getting an architect involved as early as possible is really, really important. Also, there's so many things that clients won't take into consideration that you as well, that can make the cost overruns, make the development not worth it. And that's sometimes I've seen one client who done a refurb down in Ayr, and he walked away with a $30,000 loss in 9 months out of his life. If he probably had engaged a good architect right from the start, that probably wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, and all of that comes down to understanding the figures of the project. And I would actually say, if we've got a good, strong client, we want them to bring their funder or their commercial broker to the table as early as possible as well. Because there's nothing worse for the architect to sit and think, right, the budget's, £1 million. Now, in my head, I always jump to, right, 750 grand, because I know that most lenders will want to see someone of these 25% profit margins before they'll effectively think, right, well, there's a project worth lending for here. So all of a sudden, I'm thinking 750 grand, and then I'm thinking he's got architect's fees, he's got engineer's fees, he's got the site costs, he's got this stuff. So all of a sudden, maybe the project cost is 600,000, and I'm looking at going, right, what can we deliver for 600,000? Not a lot. Not what he wants anyway, or she wants.
And that's what I would say. A lot of clients don't see that, and they look at the end picture, but not really, like, they're so, like, especially people that are new to it, they probably do that one and then they learn from it and think, oh, jinx, I'll never do that again. But it is very much known that what's involved, what can go wrong, and a contingency. So that's massive. So most of our lenders will automatically factor in a 10% contingency anyway. But that's part of being the broker. What we do, our development appraisal, when we're going through it all, we'll be asking things like, with your figures, is the contingency already taken into account? But see if somebody's just plucking numbers out their head, they'll be like, yeah. But they've not put anything down on paper. Just...
And you can tell sometimes, I'm sure you can tell as architects what experience or what, just when you talk to people about the numbers and right, this person's not, it's not to say we wouldn't take them on as a client, but we would certainly know that we've got to do a bit more hand holding and nurturing of the client, and we would probably expect a bit more kickback in some of the issues that they're going to face in terms of why is planning so difficult, why is building control taking so long, because they've never really done the process before. We were speaking earlier, though, you mentioned earlier that timescales is a significant challenge for some of your clients, i.e. maybe it's not necessarily finding money, because there's different funders you can go to, with different criteria, a bit like car insurance, I suppose, isn't it? You'll find someone, it just depends if you want to pay the premium. But timescales was the challenge you were talking about earlier. Do you want to maybe explore a wee bit about that?
Yeah, so I would say a lot of people come and say, like, I think I actually yesterday said I need money tomorrow. I was like, that's not.
Don't we all?
I was like, even by the time I get lenders to, like, even by the time I do my proposal, and then by the time the lenders see it, and then they come back with quotes. So even with bridging finance, you can get it done in a week, but you need everyone hands on deck to do that. So I need to have no other clients I'm dealing with. The solicitor needs to have no other clients to deal with. The valuer, if we can do a desktop valuation, even better. The lender needs to have no other clients. The lender solicitor needs to have no other clients to get that done, which can happen. Like, and I've seen it happen in like a 24-hour turnaround. But realistically, that's not going to happen. So I would say that some people say, like, oh, I need it within a month. That can be done. There's so much that's out with our control. So we can do our part. Probably in about 4 hours, we can do the main part of our bits done. But if they need to do a physical valuation to get a valuer out to a property at the moment, especially in Scotland, you're looking like 2 weeks before they're out, like to any sort of developments, and then it's a 10 working day till that report's back. So there's you've nearly lost like a month already. And then it goes to legals. And I always say legals is how long's a piece of string, and it's such an old woman saying, but it's so true, because if you've got a really, really good solicitor, then great, they're going to be all over it, and they're going to push it before you get over the line. But if your solicitor's not on it, then it depends where you are in that pile. Like, it depends what Friday it is that they're going to complete on, which makes no sense for why they always just complete on Friday. Like, why? So if you miss the Friday, you've got to wait to the following Friday. Just complete it on the Monday.
A Monday, it's almost like a cold sweat appears on the Monday morning, on the Friday.
I know. I'm like, what? Then I'm off on holiday, so it needs to be 2 Fridays away. I'm like, no. But yeah, I would say that having a really good solicitor is massive. Valuers as well are such variations. Like, I've had like 3 separate valuers get one property, and like there's been 100 grand of a difference in it. Like, so
is that for like a house property?
Commercial.
Commercial properties,
so we do like residential and commercial, as well as bridge and development and unsecured. So we do the full range. But because commercial, it's just really how they see it. Now, there's different types of valuations so I'm talking about them all using the same valuation. So if it's like an MD1, there can still be like £100,000 difference between them all. So it's such a variation. And people always say, well, who's your recommended valuer? Because they must have one that's better. And I'm like, I honestly wouldn't like hand on heart recommend it to them, because if it then goes wrong, then I'm hit for it. And they'll be like, you told me that they were a good one. So I'm always like, just you do your own research on that one.
So has timescales changed then? Is this, I mean, you spoke about timescales being difficult, but maybe going back the last 2 or 3 years, is it getting longer for any particular reason? Or
I would say if you asked, I actually read a stat and I wish I could remember it, what the average timescale was now compared to before. I can't remember it though, but I think it's 43 days average is the bridge. I'm sure it is for any bridge in finance. And term finance, which is like a commercial mortgage or a buy-to-let, I think the average was 3 months. Now, with that, that's doable about setting clients' expectations and stuff. But what's out with our control is, let's say something goes wrong. Like, so I had one where a client's property was built on a mine shaft. So I would never have been able to predict that. Like, and it wasn't until it was solicitor stage that was ever noticed. So that case went from being an average of 3 months up to 8 months. I've actually had a case now for a client, it's the smallest case I've ever done, and I'm a year down the line and it's still not over the line with it, which because all the leases are messed up. There's the title's not correct. There's stuff in the garden. It's like, it's just a really strange thing. It's the smallest deal I've ever done. It's cost me the most hassle, and I'm 100% at a massive loss from doing this one deal. With the manpower that's put into it. But yeah, I think a big part of it is the whole still working from home culture, if I'm being honest. Like, I think that a lot of people haven't got back into that like mindset still yet after COVID, where you are in the office and you are working and you're not dilly-dallying about. That is my own perception of it. I might be wrong, but I actually think we speak to all the lenders, they would probably say the same. Like, the staff, they're trying to get all their staff back in offices and things. So
it's a big thing now, isn't it? A lot of corporate businesses are now trying to get their staff back in for sure, and not just you're in 3 days and out for 2, you're back for 5.
I think, like, quite bad to say because I do support flexible working, but I think you need to be like, I think that you need your core hours in the office. Like, yes, like if any of my staff had like go to their kids' show, I'm like, oh, fine, off you go. Like, you can catch up later on at night. I'm totally fine with that. Or one of the girls, like, she's got to be in late but for start work and leave to get the kids to school, but then she'll do like 3 hours at night, and I'm like, that's totally fine. But having the core hours, I think you need to have staff in the building.
Yeah, I think I can't think who it was. It might be Jim Rohn or someone, but there's something in my head that says if you change your environment, change your mindset. And I think, well, if you're in the house all the time working, you've not changed your environment. So you're either in home mode, working with the kids, cutting the grass, putting the washing on, making a cup of coffee, or do a bit of work, or you're in work mode, which is not healthy either, because we know that there are some people who will work from home and work way beyond their hours and forget about family stuff. So that's why,
probably a bit of me then out, like, and so changing your environment I get, like, so even this is my daily life now. So I'll go into the office, I'll probably go and do like 3 or 4 different meetings face to face with people or teams or whatever. I'll go home, I normally sit in one part of my house to do like 2 hours work, but then by then I start feeling myself getting tired, and I'm like, And instead of me going, right, that's me done, I'll move to another part of the house as if that's me like change my environment.
Yeah.
So I'll move and I'll work in my bed and I'll maybe put like a wee Netflix on and I'll still be working. And then I was like, oh sugar, I'm getting tired. So then I'll go into the home office
Right.
and before I know it, it's midnight and I'm like, oh my goodness, I've not even spent an hour with the kids. I've been up since 6 a.m. But for me, that's me changing my environment, but still always in work mode.
Yeah.
So that's where you've got to, like, I would never encourage that. Like, it's probably, like, I've been to the doctor all the time, they keep saying, like, I've got a really sore shoulder, they keep saying, are you stressed? I'm like, no, not stressed. I'm like, there's something else wrong, it's not stress. But it probably is, like stress. But
I think when you're a business owner, you tend to work through those stresses, you know. I know I've got symptoms of stress that come out in my body after I've been stressed, you know. So I don't feel the stress, but I know after, you know, like I get cold sores on my lips, and I know that happens after I've came through the stress period. To go, I've been stressed, that was last week, you know. Then I can relate to it. But as I'm going through it, you know, I just keep putting one step in front of the other and just keep going, you know.
Well, that's like, no joke, yesterday I was sitting down and I was looking out the window and I was like, I feel like a bit now, like I don't really have a life. Like I said this to my husband the other day, I feel a bit like a donkey. Like I'm just non-stop or a robot. Like I just don't feel like I've got a life. Like it might seem like I'm at events all the time, but they're all work. Like everything I do there is work. Like the time I spend with my actual family, my actual friends, like it was really, really, really small, if anything now. And I just feel like it's so, and I was like, could I give it all up and just go back? And Marty was like, no. Because what you would do is you would give it all up and then a week later you'd be like, so what I'm going to do is this now. And I was like, no, you're so right. I just couldn't. Like, I think, see, because I'm so driven, like, I just don't think that will ever go away from me. Like, even if, like, 10 years' time somebody came in and offered to buy the business or whatever, I think within a week I'd have something else set up.
I think that's the entrepreneurial thing in most business owners, you know. I've had the privilege of knowing many over the years, some arguably more successful than others, if you look at, you know, the what they've done in life, what they've achieved, what they've got. But I think most, you know, I hit 50 a few weeks back there, and I think you start to see as you push into that age, and some of my clients who are a bit older as well, they do start to take the foot off the gas a wee bit. You know, you do start to see them enjoying life a wee bit more. You know, going more holidays, spending more time with the family, and usually it's the grandkids because they know what they've missed with the kids. And it's like, right, well, I've got grandkids and I'm spending time with them. You know, and I think that's all very important. I mean, even my father, he was never an entrepreneur, but he was a factory worker who took all the time that was going, and he kept racing pigeons. So when he wasn't at his work, it was the racing pigeons. Yeah. Now I was fortunate enough that I liked the racing pigeons. And I spent a lot of time with them, but my sister didn't spend as much time with them. You know, to the extent that when the grandkids came along, and pretty much as he was ready to pass, he said his one regret in life was that although he's seen his granddaughters, he's got 4. Is not getting to spend as much time with them, you know. So I think that's the thing.
That's like the deathbed thinking, isn't it? Like, so Marty always says that to me, and I actually asked a few of my like close friends, I was like, if you were to describe me in 3 words, like what would you describe me in? Because I was really scared that they were all just going to turn around and say something to do with work, like as in workaholic or really driven, or because as much as when I'm on my deathbed, I want to have had this business that's been successful. I want to be like create a life for my family that's really good. Like, oh, we remember Emma for just being like driven, or like I was like, I want to be like a really good friend. I want to be like a really good mum. I want to be a really good daughter. Like these sort of things that are actually meaningful. But I think that I was really worried, but they didn't actually. Their words were a lot more kinder about me, like, but what I wanted to hear, so I was like, yay! But like that's what my head, I thought that's what everyone would probably think of me now because I'm so focused on it. But I think everyone does know that it's like it is like I keep saying a short-term loss for a long-term gain. Like,
I think when you're setting a business up, for sure. I mean, most businesses fail in their first 3 years, so you've got just over a year to go, you know, and I'm sure you'll be fine. But even though they say that, there's still plenty of businesses will fail afterwards, and I think that's the determination of the owner to make the right decisions at the right time to keep it going. You know, Block Architect's 21 years old this year. It's got its great years, and then there's other years where you're fighting every month just to get a project over the line or make sure the cash flow is strong enough or profits happening. You know, so business has never been. You know, you're past the 3 years and all of a sudden everything's great, you know. So, but but I guess we love it and it's fun and that's why we keep doing it.
Yeah.
You know, that's it. You talk about being remembered. One of the things I wanted to pick up on, because usually at this point in the podcast, I'd have a question from the previous guest. I don't have one for you, but I did get a question from someone else, and it's all to do with, and maybe something to do with about being remembered. But your company, Ross Commercial Finance, have just taken over lead sponsorship of a football stadium in East Kilbride, which is now known as the Ross Commercial Finance Stadium. So congratulations on that. Do you want to maybe give us a wee bit of insight into that and your association with football?
Yeah, so I've been brought up with football my full life. Like my dad's a massive football fan, my brother was. I never really went to games when I was younger. It's like my friends still took me, but I've always been into it. I actually started playing it recently as well.
Right.
And we actually have our own football club called SheCan, which is an all girls football club, and we've got like 280 between girls and women. So that's a complete charity. Everything goes back to the girls, and we're really passionate about growing that. It's my husband and Gary Dixon that run it, and they are like just give up all their time and all the coaches as well for the girls, so it's really, really, really nice. But with EKFC, the reason how I got into it is I was born in St Leonard's, so I lived right opposite Cordicglade my full life.
Right.
Like, so I was down there nearly every single day.
Right.
And I just thought when it was a case of I wanted to be involved in something, I wanted it to be something that was local, that meant something to me. And then I actually got asked by their commercial manager, like, look, would you like to be involved? And to start with, I was just going to be like, yeah, I'll just come in and do something small. And then I got to know like Cy Ferry and Mick Kennedy and like the Keens and just the full team, the squad are lovely as well. And just I was like, you know what, let's just go all in.
All in. Yeah.
So this is our second year with them. So we've just renewed our contract with them. I think they said we were their biggest deal that they've ever done, which was quite cool. But yeah, it's been really good. It's so good to be part of something. Obviously, we've just been promoted, so it's like really nice. They're going to have a lot more footfall in the stadium, which is great. They're looking to extend the stadium, which will be really, really cool. It's just really nice to be part of it all, and I've actually enjoyed every minute of it, to be honest. Like, you even go in and get your wee half-time pies. The girls love it. My kids, like, they're obsessed with it.
Oh,
like,
great.
They go to every single game. All the people, like, everyone comes up, even like the managers, the players, they all know them. You go into the boardroom and they're just treated like special. They just love it. And I just want them to grow up in that environment where it's like they're part of something, part of the club. They've obviously got SheCan. Both my girls play, and then they've got EKFC. So we do follow like other teams, but EKFC seems funner. So if they grow up being EKFC fans, we'll be happy with that.
Oh, excellent, fantastic. Well, no, that is great that you've done that. It's good to give back. And hopefully, as you do more of that through your career, that'll be one of the things you'll be remembered for, is giving back.
No, I would like obviously that would be lovely. Like, and the whole thing with SheCan is genuinely about like giving girls opportunity. So we've got really big plans for that, to take that further than just football. Like for example, SheCan Finance. Like, I would love to be able to like get kids into if they want to learn finance and kind of grow that side of it as well.
That's a great initiative then, yeah.
But we're wanting to take that like further and try and get like different elements of it. So it could be SheCan rugby, SheCan construction, which is probably quite a good one, where it's where women are the minority, to give them the same opportunities as guys, to get them like noticed and more involved, really. So we want to try and grow that as much as possible, to give back as much as we can.
Yeah, excellent. I think, I mean, in my industry, I remember that it's probably about 50-50 actually, the kind of female-male split in first year going through the university, but I think probably same at graduation, but certainly now that I think about it, you know, there's not a lot of women. I mean, of course, there's women architects, but there's not a lot of women architects, engineers, and
I was going to say. So even if you go out to a building site for a quote, like, it's probably rare the person running the project is a woman. Like, I actually know a really good woman down south, and I'm on her TikTok all the time. It fascinates me. But I think it's rare to find that the woman is on the site, or the woman's got the tools doing the bricklaying or whatever. So having more like split on that, I think would be would be nice.
It's an interesting point because some of the speakers in the past on the podcast have spoke about the challenges that they've got in terms of getting people into apprenticeships, etc. And the reality is that they're probably facing a difficult battle because most people, not all, but most people who are considering an industry are male anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So all of a sudden,
reducing
it's reducing 50%. So actually, that's probably something that's interesting that's come out of the podcast, in as much as that if we could attract more females into the industry, then, and obviously into construction, then that could potentially solve a problem that's here already, which is, with the number of people in the workforce.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times, like, and I'm not just saying this from a woman's perspective, but so many women that I know are like insanely hard workers.
Absolutely,
like,
yeah.
And I just think that they are strong, like when it comes to construction? Probably not. Like if you get the strongest man, the strongest woman in the world, the strongest man's going to be stronger than the strongest woman. But I would say that I think there's such a missing gap there for like women to get involved and to grow within the industry. So yeah, I think it would be something that I think can grow, and I want to be part of that.
Excellent. I think we're surrounded by strong women. I mean, my wife's got her own business. I've got 2 young daughters who are very strong-willed and and very much into business. We talk business at the dinner table. We've got the G4 team for the Gary and Tower. They're all women, and we've been involved over the years with some very strong female business owners. I don't see any difference between working with them and any of our male clients. I really don't. I would probably say that women are probably a bit better at dealing with
multitasking.
Everything. Yeah, I mean, I know. Can I multitask? I suppose I can, but I go very easily into. I'm just in work mode. I'm just work mode. And if something's got to happen in the house, it's one of those, I'll get to it. Whereas Sandra would be in work mode and doing the thing in the house at the same time.
Like Marty last week, because I could be watching a Netflix documentary, I could tell you everything that happened. I could be on my laptop working. I could have a kid in my ear, and I'll be responding. I could be answering my text messages, and he'll say, and then he'll talk to me, and I'll respond, and then he'll say, "Tell me what happened there in that Netflix thing," because he always gets annoyed. You're not keeping up with that, right. and then I'm like, this happened and that happened. He's like, how did you just do that? He's like, that's physically impossible. I could tell you exactly what he's like, what?
Well, I'm the opposite. Sandra keeps saying to me, if the kids are talking to you, I'm going, all right, I'm watching Netflix. So I very much, I guess I'm just one of those people who's just got to focus on what I'm focusing on at the time. And then I'll do it very, very well, but I can blank out everything else about me, That's it. So if anyone's interested in getting in contact with you about, it's not just Ross Commercial Finance, but She Can, how would they do that?
So She Can, I've got a Facebook. I don't even know what else got. Facebook and Instagram are probably the 2 biggest that they're on. For us, we've got our website, which is just www.rosscommercialfinance.com. We're really quite big on LinkedIn. We've got Instagram. So I'm Emma Ross Commercial Finance for my personal one, but I put stuff on there, and then I've got Ross Commercial Finance on my Instagram as well. So add either of them, contact us anyway. But yeah, we do the full sweep of finance. So yeah, anything that's investment, development, or business growth.
So if anyone's listening, then you know how to get in contact with Emma. I'm sure there's people listening, so if anyone's listening and has a question for Emma, then that's how to get in contact with Emma. Emma, just before you go, it's a tradition here at the podcast that we'll leave a question for the next guest. Now, I know you don't know who that person is. They're coming in later on this afternoon to do their podcast, but what's your question for the next person?
What is your main driver?
All right, what is your main driver? Okay, I'll write that one down. What is your main driver? So that is fantastic, Emma. Thank you for coming along today to the Hard Hat Talks podcast. We've enjoyed our time with you. It's always nice to catch up with you. And good luck in the future with both the business and with everything you're doing with She Can.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cool. Thanks for tuning in to the Hard Hat Talks. If you enjoyed the conversation, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, whether you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your shows. That way, you'll be sure to never miss an episode. If you've got any feedback or a topic you want us to tackle, please drop us a line. We'd love to hear from you. Till next time, stay safe, stay sharp, and keep your hard hat on.